The evening breeze carried the scent of sizzling spices and warm bread from Aisha's food truck, parked at the corner of a busy street. Her small truck was painted in fading red, the letters of its name chipped away with time, but the aroma that drifted out was enough to keep customers lining up every night. Aisha worked quickly, her apron dotted with stains of the day, her wrists aching from hours of chopping and stirring. She didn't complain. This little food truck was all she had, her only way of paying rent and sending a little money back home. People in line shifted impatiently, their eyes fixed not on her but on the food, as though she herself were invisible. A man in a leather jacket muttered about the wait, a woman scrolled on her phone, tapping her foot. No one bothered to look at the young woman behind the counter, with wisps of hair falling across her forehead and shadows under her eyes. At the very end of the line stood a man who didn't belong to this world of hurried workers and hungry students. His suit was sharp, perfectly pressed, and his watch gleamed under the streetlight. He carried himself with quiet authority, tall and composed, as though waiting in a food truck line was beneath him, yet here he was. A few customers noticed, whispering to each other, guessing at his wealth, his status, maybe even his car parked somewhere close by. But Aisha didn't notice him at all. To her, he was just another order, another face she would forget by tomorrow. She wiped her hands on her apron, lifted her chin, and called out in her tired but steady voice, "Next, please," without sparing the man a single glance. The man stepped forward slowly, his presence commanding attention even though he said nothing at first. Aisha was already reaching for the bread, ready to ask what he wanted, when his silence made her pause. She looked up, expecting him to speak like every other customer. Instead, he leaned just slightly closer across the counter, his voice so low she almost thought she imagined it. "Still remember me?" The words slipped into her ears like a forgotten song. Her fingers froze around the bread, her heart skipping a beat. For a moment, the noise of the street, the chatter of customers, the honking cars, the clatter of utensils blurred into nothing. She lifted her gaze, slowly, almost afraid of what she might see. His eyes met hers, deep, familiar, carrying a warmth she hadn't felt in years, and in an instant, time unraveled. She was no longer standing inside a food truck. She was back in a dusty classroom, two children huddled over one tattered book, whispering answers before the teacher came by. She was a hungry little girl, clutching an empty lunchbox, and beside her was a boy sliding half his sandwich toward her with a shy grin. She was hearing his voice again, young and hopeful, promising, "One day, I'll make life better for both of us." Her chest tightened as the realization struck. That boy had vanished from her life, swallowed by the weight of poverty and the years that had passed. She had thought she'd never see him again. Yet here he was, not the ragged classmate she once knew, but a man transformed, polished, powerful, dressed like the kind of people she served but never spoke to. Her lips trembled, the world around her pushing forward with its rush and noise, but inside her everything had gone still. She clutched the counter for balance, staring at him, unable to believe what her heart already knew. Her lips parted, but no sound escaped. The world pressed in. Impatient voices from the line behind him, someone clearing their throat, the clink of coins being counted. Yet none of it mattered. All she could see was him, the boy from her memories, standing in front of her in the body of a man who now seemed so far above her world. He didn't look crushed like the others, didn't care that people were waiting. His eyes never left hers, steady and gentle, and for a brief moment she saw not the polished CEO everyone else would notice, but the boy who once shared his sandwich and laughed with her under a broken school roof. A soft smile curved on his lips, tinged with something unspoken, something fragile. "Aisha," he said, her name rolling off his tongue as though he had practiced it for years, afraid to forget. "I never forgot you, and I didn't come here for the food." Her chest ached at his words, tears threatening to spill though she tried to hold them back. The girl who had been ignored all evening, treated like part of the truck, suddenly felt as though the entire street had turned its gaze upon her. For him, she wasn't invisible. She was everything. He reached into his pocket and placed a card on the counter, not with the arrogance of a wealthy man showing power, but with the quiet offering of someone reaching across years of distance. The card bore his name, embossed in elegant letters, the title beneath it confirming what she had guessed: a CEO, a man who had climbed every rung she had once dreamed of but never reached. Her hand hovered above the card, trembling. She wasn't sure if she was ready for the change his presence promised. Yet as he looked at her, his eyes glistening with emotion he didn't try to hide, she realized he hadn't come to flaunt his success. He had come to find her, and under the golden glow of the food truck's lights, with the night air humming softly around them, the poor food truck girl who had been overlooked by everyone else found herself at the center of a story she never expected, a one where the boy she had lost had returned, carrying not just memories, but a promise of something new. There was a long silence between them, the kind that made even the restless customers behind shift uneasily, though they didn't understand why the girl at the counter wasn't moving. Aisha's hand finally closed around the business card, her fingertips brushing the raised letters. She felt the weight of it more than paper. It was a doorway to a world she had never stepped into, and perhaps never believed she deserved to. Her eyes flickered up at him again. He was still there, waiting, not demanding, not rushing, simply watching her as if her reaction mattered more than all the meetings, the contracts, the fortunes that surely waited for him elsewhere. It was as though the powerful man had paused his entire world, just to stand in front of her food truck. "I don't understand a broken bar," she whispered, her voice so soft it was nearly lost in the noise of the street. "Why now, after all these years, a broken bar?" He leaned closer, his tone low but steady. "Because I promised, because I searched, and because even with everything I have, I realized it means nothing if I can't share it with the one person who once shared her dreams with me." Her breath caught. The memory was faint but real, the two of them sitting on a cracked pavement, talking about what they wanted to become. She had wanted a small cafe copyright someday, a place where people would gather not just for food, but for warmth. He had listened then, as he was listening now, with the same quiet intensity. The line of customers began to disperse, some giving up, others moving to another stall. Aisha didn't care. Her world had shrunk to the man in front of her. For the first time that evening, she let her tears fall, not of weakness, but of recognition, of relief, of something long buried finding its way back to the surface. He reached across the counter, and not with money, not with the casual arrogance of someone offering charity, but with his hand, palm open, waiting. And though her hands were rough, tired, and trembling, she found herself reaching back, their fingers meeting across the stainless steel counter that had once separated her from the world. And in that touch, she realized the night wasn't ending, it was just beginning.